compensate you if he dies. Put it in.
Welcome back to the dark side, everyone on YouTube. Darth Vader's coming back at you with another video today. Today we're going to be reacting to more scary animated horror stories, and we're going to be starting off with Llama Arts. So without further ado, let's jump right into it, shall we? The Pizza Guy. Turn on the captions.
This happened 4 years ago when I was still in high school. I was told to do my last delivery of my shift. I got in my car, which was a 1999 Camry, perfect for delivering pizzas. I GPSed the address on my phone. I live upstate in the country, so all pizza
Am I the only one who's kind of weirded out by the fact that there's a pizza place in the middle of fucking nowhere?
deliveries were long drives. I remember the sun was starting to set, so it was probably around 7 o'clock.
That's nice
I'd say after
detailing
good
for a
15
car.
minutes of driving through the foresty dirt roads, my GPS said I had arrived. It was an old little cottage-like house made almost entirely of wood. It was sitting all by itself in the middle of absolutely nothing but forest. The lawn was completely unkept, as the grass was almost at knee height. I was used to
Okay,
this kind
hell
of thing,
nah.
so I didn't think much of it. I took the pizza to the front door. There was no doorbell, so I knocked loudly on the door. Within 10 seconds, I heard the sound of footsteps hitting wood on the inside of the house. The footsteps made it to the door and stopped. I started to feel uneasy. I got the
Okay.
feeling that I was being watched. And that's when I noticed there was a peephole in the door. "It's the pizza guy," I called out. I heard a low, harsh-sounding voice on the other side of the door, telling me to bring the pizza out back.
Okay.
I didn't like the idea of going
Fuck
back.
that.
Something didn't seem right. "Are you sure, sir?" I called out. He didn't answer my question. The sound of footsteps didn't move away from the door, so I had the feeling he was still watching me. I almost found myself walking back to my car, but I decided I didn't want any trouble with my boss. The last time I brought a pizza back, he gave me attitude, so I reluctantly walked through
Fuck
the backyard
that.
grass and around the small house to the back. I remember there was a shed and a little patio back there. In the patio, there was a table with 4 chairs surrounding it. In one of the chairs, facing away from me, I saw the head of somebody sitting in the seat. I began walking over and said, "Excuse me," but the person didn't even move an inch. "Excuse me," I said again louder. Then from behind me, I heard, "Psst, over here." I turned around to see a man poking his head out from the corner of the house.
Oh,
looking at me with
fuck
a crazy
you.
smile. "Come over here. I want to show you something."
Nah.
I freaked out, turned around, and ran around the house in the opposite direction.
What? Who the fuck is
For
that?
some reason, still holding
Is that the
the
bitch
pizza.
from The Ring?
I got in my car, started it, and got away from there. On my way back to the pizzeria, I pulled over to the side of the road and called the police. Eventually, I was informed that there was no sign of anybody having been in that house for a long time. I quit my delivery job a few days after that. I have no idea what would have happened to me had I gone up to that man, but to this day, I still wish I had just turned my head to see who or what was sitting in that patio chair.
I don't think you want to know, bro. Oh, what the fuck? Damn. God damn. Fuck, bro. This was 8 years ago. That was pretty damn good detailing on a car in a video 8 years ago. All right, so let's find another older video to react to. Okay, vacation story. The honeymoon. Okay.
Me and my wife were on our honeymoon in Hawaii. We were on the island of Oahu, sitting on the beach. My wife got up to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And when she got back, she told me that there was a creepy man watching her walk into the bathroom, and when she tried to walk out, he blocked her path. She only got away because there were 2 other people walking into the bathroom, so he got out of the way. I asked her what the man looked like, and she looked over, but unfortunately, she said he was gone. Our hotel was walking distance from the beach, so
Okay.
we got back quickly, but we made sure to report the man to a police officer we saw walking on the beach. And then we washed up before going out to eat. We ate at a fancy seafood place and did some walking around afterwards.
Just smacks the guy in the face.
We finally went back to the room and began to wind down. Then we got a knock at the door. I looked through the peephole of the door and saw a man in a maid uniform standing.
What the fuck?
I opened the door and he immediately tried to let himself in. I pushed him back a bit, asking him what he wanted. He told me he left something in the room while cleaning earlier and needed to get it out. The only thing, we left a do not disturb sign on the door all day.
What the fuck? No, that floor. What the fuck?
Making eye contact with my wife. My wife then screamed, "That's the man." I didn't understand at first, but it was too late for that. The man had already lunged
what the fuck?
at my throat with one hand while reaching behind himself with another. He pulled out a knife and started swinging
What the
at me,
fuck?
and if it weren't for my wife coming over and smashing his face with the lamp, I would have been as
God damn!
The commotion drew out all
with the
families
lamp.
of the neighboring rooms.
Hold on.
One of the women started.
Is that Muriel? Okay.
Freaking out and screaming, making the situation worse. We called the police, and so did the hotel. It turned into a huge, horrible scene, but we were just happy to be alive.
Damn. Good God.
We were questioned when the police arrived, and some of the other people around us claimed to have witnessed it all. We still don't know what kind of intentions this guy had, but if I had to guess, I would say he wanted to get to my wife. He must have been one very dumb person to think he would get away with something like this in such a public building.
Some bitch. All right. So that was 2 stories from Llama Arts. We're going to move over to Wansee Entertainment. And we're going to react to some older videos. I feel like the older videos here are a little more believable. Some of the newer ones, I'm just like, how the fuck? Okay. You what, mate?
I was 16 when this happened, and it still haunts me to this day.
Fuck. I can barely hear the guy.
My older brother's friend gave me work of house
What
sitting
the
with
fuck
rather
is that
large
hairstyle,
houses
bro?
days, with the pay rate being $100 a night. For the sake of privacy reasons, let's call my brother's friend Nick. $200 was a lot for such a simple task as house sitting, and since I recently sold my PlayStation 3 to save up for a PlayStation 4, the job came as godsend.
Did nobody shop at GameStop yet? Because you could have traded in your PlayStation 3 for a 4, bro.
Around 6 p.m., Nick picked me up and drove me to his house, as it was getting dark out.
God damn, that bro's built.
Security cameras he had installed in and out of his home. But I didn't have any intentions of staring at any security monitor all night.
Dumbass.
As I brought my laptop to pass the time. After some time had passed, I felt hungry and decided to grab something from the fridge. But as I got up to make my way down, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye from the monitor. I sat back down, closing my laptop.
What the hell?
Taking a closer look, noticing the movement coming from camera 4. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that it was a silhouette of what appeared to be a man standing outside the house.
Oh, God.
Within seconds of glancing away from the monitor, the man was gone. At that very moment, I heard glass shatter somewhere downstairs, causing me to immediately look at the cameras, noticing him crawling in through the basement window.
What the fuck?
I started to panic.
So he broke a window, and then he's crawling from who the fuck knows where to get inside. Okay.
Watching him climb the basement stairs with a knife clenched in his hand. I quickly locked the door to my room and dialed 911, explaining everything. I watched the monitor, terrified to see the man on the same floor as mine, desperately opening and closing the doors, looking for anyone to cross his path. I pressed my ear against the door, straining to hear his now slowed footsteps approach my door as he attempted to open it. Realizing I
What the fuck?
out, pounded frightening me to the very core. As I sat there shaking, I heard sirens in the distance, steadily getting louder and louder. My fear quickly disappeared as I heard the man run towards the stairs, attempting to escape his fate. When I heard the front door slam open, accompanied by somebody yelling, "Police! Put your hands in the air!" Moments later, I walked downstairs and saw the intruder in a pair of handcuffs being escorted to the police cruiser. I thanked one of the officers and called Nick, explaining everything to him. After about 20 minutes, he picked me up and took me home. But I got no sleep that night. All I could think of was how lucky I was to be alive.
Yeah,
If
that's
the cops hadn't shown up when they did, I wouldn't be here to tell this story.
no shit, bro. You're so fucking smart. I wouldn't have been here to tell the story. No shit. I'm sorry, guys. Hitchhiking. Don't do it.
When I was 17, I didn't have a driver's license. Most of the time I walked or hitchhiked. There was this one night. There weren't that many cars on the road, and it was very cold. And this man pulled over.
Pretty damn good animation right there.
I took a good look at the guy and figured I could take him if he tried anything.
Are you
He
sure
looked
about
inside
that?
and had a strange frailness about him, even though he looked healthy enough. I got into the car. After we agreed on the destination, we exchanged names and I warmed my fingers up in front of the heating grid. He spoke quietly, asking a few questions along the lines of, was I local and how did I like living there? He said he only been here for a few months, but found it beautiful and hoped he could find happiness there.
Okay.
That comment struck me as a little odd, but I brushed it off.
Yeah.
It began to snow and the road quickly got slippery. So he slowed and he kept his eyes straight out the windshield, driving silently.
Yeah.
I was okay with that, as small talk was never my forte. About 10 minutes later, I noticed a car near the intersection we were approaching, seemingly sliding, so I said, "Watch out." He immediately hit the gas.
What the
He came
fuck?
through the intersection and burst out with, "Don't ever scream at me." Needless to say, I was taken aback. I said, "Look, this is close enough. Just pull over here and I can get there." He didn't seem to hear me. So I said, "Richard, did you hear me?" I said, "You can pull over here and let me out." But no response. He just stared straight ahead, driving faster now than he did when it started snowing. To say I was scared doesn't seem to cover the depth of the fear that began to rise in me. I didn't know if I should stay quiet or speak, but I was damn sure not going to yell after his outburst. After about a mile, he began to mumble under his breath. I couldn't quite make out what he was saying, but I assumed he was speaking to me. So I said, "What did you say? I couldn't hear you." He began to speak quietly and rapidly, saying things like, "You're always yelling at me. I've told you time and time again, do not yell at me. I don't appreciate it. No, you don't listen. You don't listen." And I was just sitting there looking at him. I was at a complete loss. I didn't know what to say in response or if I should say anything at all. I contemplated just jumping out of the car.
Nah, not going that fast.
When I realized the door lock was missing. There was just a silver lined hole where it should have been. I started to cry and debate with myself about causing an accident by grabbing the wheel and hoping for the best. When he suddenly looked at me for the first time since I had gotten in the car. He blinked several times, rapidly, then slowed the car, pulling into a gas station. I waited to see if he unlocked the doors, not wanting to say anything to set him off again. After a minute or two, he quietly said, "I think I better let you out of here." And he hit the button to the door locks, and he opened the door. I wasn't about to hesitate, so I jumped out of the car as if I were on fire. I was about to turn and walk into the gas station when he called my name. He looked so damn sad and I hesitated. He apologized, said he was sorry if he had frightened me. that he never would have harmed me. And he asked if I'd be able to get home okay. I said I would and closed the door. He began to pull out of the gas station, but stopped suddenly. He just sat there for a couple of moments, his head down. I froze, wondering what the hell was up, and was about to run into the gas station. But he opened his window and yelled at me, waving something in his hand. My hat. I left it on his seat. I slowly approached the side of his car, and he handed it to me, apologizing again. I didn't know what else to say, so I just said, thanks. I watched as he drove off, making sure he was out of sight before moving on so he wouldn't know which direction I was heading. As I walked, I went to put my hat back on, and a piece of paper fell out of it. Folded into a paper was $100 bill. The paper said, I'm sorry. Please take a cab and don't hitchhike anymore tonight.
That's some good advice.
In fact, it was the last time I ever hitchhiked in my life. Would never, ever do that again.
Well, that was something. All right. True creepy stalker horror story animated. All right.
My name is Victor, and I'm 23 years old. I have a story that happened to me when I was 17 years old.
Oh boy.
I work as a carpenter at a local building company.
Okay.
And this happened at the period when I was a trainee for the same company. We were renovating a very old apartment building from around the 1960s that was going to be school classrooms for a school that had bought the building. As many carpenters, we were working on Friday, which basically means that we started earlier the rest of the week so we could go home early on Fridays, which means it was a lot of very early mornings.
Okay.
So one day, I was on my way to work at about 4:30 in the morning. I was walking the usual way to my bus. It was about 1 kilometer. It was through the block I was living on, and then through a small path in the forest, about 200 meters.
Oh joy.
By this time in the morning, it was still pitch black, because it was winter and I live in Sweden. So the path through the forest was like a black hole.
I bet.
So I grabbed my phone and put the flashlight on, an old iPhone 4S by the way, and began walking the small path.
When the fuck did this video
About
come
halfway on the
out?
path, I heard a crackling noise from my right and flashed my light in the direction and saw nothing. I just figured it was an animal or something. At the end of the path, I heard the crackling noise again, but this time it was much closer.
Okay.
I'd always been a little paranoid in the dark, but was trying to get over it. But I began walking a little faster anyway, keeping an eye behind me the whole time. When I arrived at the bus station, I sat down, waiting for the bus, and was saying to myself that I was a coward for being so paranoid about a small sound I heard.
Nah.
I could see the forest I walked through from the bus station, because it was only about 50 meters from the station. And when I looked at the path, I saw a man standing behind a tree, right under a street light, about 10 meters to the right of the path.
Fuck no.
And he was clearly watching me. He was wearing black pants and an old light blue, almost pastel-colored jacket, like it was from the 80s. I felt a bit sick when I realized he was watching me, even though it was only for about 20 seconds, before I saw the bus arriving from around the corner. I immediately felt relief when I saw the bus. So I stepped on the bus, and it was as usual, completely empty. I sat at the back of the bus.
I wouldn't sit that fucking far back, motherfucker.
The man was still there, but he wasn't. When the bus began to take off, I heard a thud right beside my window. I quickly looked at the side and saw an arm reaching up to my window, waving at me. And the arm was wearing a light blue jacket. I didn't have time to see his face because he was wearing a hood, and the bus had already taken off. On the way down to downtown, I tried not to think about the man, but it was so hard because it was so weird, and something like that had never happened to me before. I eventually got off the bus at my bus stop and began walking to the building where I had my working clothes and my gear. It was really close to my bus stop, so it only took me maybe about 5 minutes to walk there.
Okay.
When I arrived at the door to the building, I grabbed my key and was about to put it in the keyhole when I saw in the corner of my eye, peeking out
What the fuck?
corner, that man in the light blue jacket standing, looking at me. I quickly unlocked the door, ran inside, locked it behind me. After that, it was 2 more doors. Both needed an access card, so nobody without the card could get inside. After the first door, it was a long hallway. To the left, only lit up by a few lights in the roof, and a ring in front of you. It was the second door that led to my locker in the coffee room. I ran as fast as I could.
Okay.
I was shaking at this time. There was no way I could think of how he could have got down here so fast. I put on some coffee and changed to my working clothes. It was completely quiet in the room. It felt like hours before my coworkers showed up. When they finally showed up, I felt the best feeling in a long time. When it was time to get started with working, we began walking towards the elevator that led up to the top floor, which we were currently working on. When we arrived at the top floor, I realized I forgot my helmet in the locker. So I took the elevator down, went through the 2 doors, and got my helmet, and was making my way back up to the others. When I had opened the first door and was standing in the dark hallway, I froze. I heard someone whispering my name from the back of the hallway. I looked down
What
the
the
hallway and saw
fuck?
the same man, the same light.
How the fuck is he inside?
He was standing there looking at me. Then he said something I will never forget. "You look so peaceful when you sleep, Victor."
What
He
the
said in
fuck?
a deep and shaking voice. I felt my whole world shatter when he said that. Then I ran for it. I opened the door and slammed it behind me. I ran to the elevator and smashed the button to the top floor. It felt like I was going 100 floors before I got to the top. I ran to the others and told them what happened. They just laughed at me and thought I was silly, saying that nobody can get in there without a card.
Somebody got in!
But I didn't for some reason. Probably because I didn't want to look like a coward in front of the others.
Call the cops,
I
dumbass!
saw that man again. I don't know if I was hallucinating or he was really there. I have no idea. But I never walked the same path to my bus again. And I always sleep with my curtains down, even to this day.
Bro, what the fuck? Jesus. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. If so, why not leave a like on the video down below? If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe. Turn on the notification icon so you don't miss a single video that I upload. Wow, that was interesting. So remember, the Force will be with you always, and your destiny lies with me. Obi-Wan knew this to be true.